Have you been waiting for something before you kick off what you really want in life? That's what we're going to talk about today. Hi, this is Jill from the Northwoods talking about improving life one small step at a time. Now, I want to ask you this, something that, take a minute to think about and consider. Is there something in your life that you've been waiting to start? Maybe it's losing weight. Maybe it's moving to a new city or starting a new career or starting a new relationship or finally leaving one. Maybe it's starting a creative project or getting your finances in order or going back to school. But it's a decision that has been swirling around for years. And maybe, if you're honest, you've been waiting for the right time, the right circumstances, things to calm down, life to cooperate, something to fall in place first. And if that's you, I want you to hear this with all the kindness that I can give you and not judgment, because I've been there before too. The knight in shining armor is not coming. And once you understand that, it's not sad. It's a relief. Everything in your life can change after that point. We're talking about one of the most quietly damaging myths in most of us that lives inside of us, and you don't even know it's there, is this idea that we hear, mostly it's like sort of romantic or high fantasy, that there's a knight in shining armor. The idea that someone will come along and rescue us, sweep us off our feet, or fix everything, make life make sense again. And the truth of it is that we were raised either directly or indirectly with that story. And I knew friends. I mean, you might laugh about that, but I had friends who were in college deciding, maybe not to start careers until they met the man that they were going to marry, or the right job came along. That they were waiting for a particular thing to happen before they would start their life after college. And we think it's only in the culture and the movies, or maybe it was something, inside of our family, but you wait for the right circumstance or the right person, and then life begins. But here's the part that I've come to understand, and maybe I understand it a little earlier than a lot of people because I had such a horrible situation. The knight isn't always a person. I knew that. I knew that there were people in my childhood. I grew up in a very rough place. Let me just put it that way. And every family was almost an indication of some kind of devastation in one way or the other. Alcoholism or violence or just a lack of parenting. And I knew the night was never coming. It never came for these people. But for a lot of us, the night is not a person. It looks like the perfect time. I'll start working on my health when things settle down at work. I'll start to make changes in my house when the kids are older. I'll start to deal with that as soon as I have more money. Or I'll start that new job search when I feel ready. And the night sometimes, like I said, looks like, even the right number on the scale. When I lose 20 pounds, then I'm going to take that dream vacation. Or the right job. I'll wait until I find a job that really fits me. I'll do that. Or when I feel like myself again, I'll go look for that perfect relationship, the relationship, with someone else. When I have something to do that I know what it is I want to do, I'll actually go and do it. The night is whatever we're waiting on to give us permission to go after the life that we've been wanting to live. And the thing about knights in shining armor is it seems very convincing because there's always one reason why the timing right now isn't right. There's always one more thing to wait for. And the myth keeps renewing itself and the years keep passing on. And you know what? We don't have an infinite number of years. I don't want to gloss this over because I think it matters to understand what's really behind all of this. Sometimes we call this laziness to ourselves. And I've done that for years and years and years. Oh, look how lazy I am. What's funny is it wasn't even quite recently I was telling someone, well, don't you find me, rather lazy? I was having one of my epic conversations with ChatGPT and I was telling him I'm pretty lazy. And ChatGPT is like the person who issues 7 podcasts a year, has a full-time job, speaks at conferences. You're lazy? And I think of that. I have that image of myself that I'm lazy, I'm feckless, I don't get myself organized the best way I should. And you start realizing, I'm not lazy at all. Most of us aren't lazy at all. We are doing things. We're working hard. We're not lazy people. And we manage a lot. And a lot of things are going on that we hold together, even if we don't think of it at that given moment. Waiting is actually fear with a costume on. When we wait for the right time, we're often really saying, I'm afraid to try the next thing and fail. I'm afraid to want something and then not get it. I'm afraid that if I put myself out there, like really, really out there, it won't work and I won't be able to come back from that. So if we outsource the decision to our circumstances, well, when the planets all line up, I'll move. That means that we never have to be the one who chose and got it wrong. We were just waiting for that right time, and it just wasn't right then. And it's a very human strategy, and it costs us a huge amount because your waiting isn't neutral. It's not like your life is paused while you wait for the conditions to improve. Your life is happening right now. Every single day of waiting is your actual life that's happening. I want to say this, like I said, I want this to be gentle, is that, and I hope you receive it gently as well. The thing that you've been waiting to start, it's not waiting for you. Your health isn't waiting. Your creative work isn't waiting. The relationship that you really want isn't waiting. Time itself does not wait. And so that's the important thing to realize in all of this. I have known people for years, and like I said, maybe you've known them too, saying, someday when I retire, someday when the mortgage is paid off, someday when things have calmed down, someday then runs out. Not because anything dramatic happened, but because life moved forward. And they were waiting for life to cooperate, and it never did. The cost of waiting is invisible. It accumulates quietly. It looks like a decade later, and then looking back and thinking, gosh, I always meant to do that. I have to say, I don't know, I had a long-term relationship with someone, and then I broke up, and I just was glad for the peace and quiet for a while, the lack of drama in my life. And I always thought, well, I'll go back into the dating world. I'll go back out there. And you know what? I waited for the perfect time when I would lose the weight I wanted to lose, when I would got it more stable financially, when I cleaned up the house, whatever it was. And I always said, I meant to go back and do that. And you know what? I never did. And well, like I said, decades have gone by. So it's sometimes painful, I think, to sit with the fact that you waited. And I hope it doesn't make you feel bad, because I don't intend for any of this to make you feel bad. I hope that this makes you think about what I can do next. What's the thing that I can do? Because what you do next is how it's going to shape it. So here's where I want to be careful here, because it's not just an episode of just do it. Just go out there and do it, because I'm not that kind of person, right? I'm not going to tell you to fight for your life, and I'm not going to tell you to push harder and want it more and find your warrior spirit. I mean, I'm just not that kind of person. What I'm suggesting is a little bit different. I'm suggesting that you release that framework entirely. The framework says, first the conditions have to be right, and then I take action. Life cooperates, and then I'll begin. Something arrives or someone arrives, permission, readiness, the right moment, and then you'll move. Release that. Get rid of that whole concept. Not because you're not strong enough to fight without it, because it was never true. The night was never coming. The perfect timing is never going to arrive. Readiness is not a feeling you wait for. It's a feeling you build by doing, by starting. And you start feeling ready as you start acting on it. There's a version of that sounds harsh, and I don't want to mean it that way. I mean it in a way that a good friend means it when she says, something true that probably we both all knew. Your life is not on hold. It's happening. And the question is whether you're going to participate in it. The important thing is that the one thing that I want to leave with you is this. This week, I want you to name the night. What was the specific thing that you were waiting for before you begin? And get specific about it. Was it the right time? Was it the right person? Was it the right condition? Was it the right bank account number? What was it that you needed to have happen before you acted? And then I want you to write it down, say it out loud, give it a name. Because here's what I found is that when you actually name the night out loud, I've been waiting for my kids to be grown. I've been waiting till I lost weight. I've been waiting until someone is out there to do this with me. It loses its power. It stops being a reasonable condition and it starts being what it actually is. A story you've been telling yourself about why now is not the right time. Name the night. Ask yourself, what's the one small step I could take this week without waiting for that knight in shining armor? Not a giant leap, not a giant life overhaul, but one small step. That's how all of this works. I think that once you start acting, you will see that this episode can be something very real for you. I would love for you to take one small step, reach out in one small way, start going after the thing you've been waiting for your whole life. And I'm not saying that you're going to even necessarily get it, but in the process of doing it, you will get something. You will get new experience. You will get new things in life, and maybe it puts you in a different direction, but it doesn't happen until you start acting. All right, everyone, thanks so much. I appreciate you being out there. I would love for you to share this episode if it struck you in your heart a little bit. Send it to a friend who's been waiting for the right time. Sometimes I think the most important thing we can do is to hand someone a mirror. You can find all my shows at jillfromthenorthwoods.com. You can reach me at jill@startwithsmallsteps.com. Or you can put a comment right here if you are watching this on a video program. Appreciate it, everything. I read and comment on everything. And until next time, take one small steps. That's all it takes.